If you ever thought you are ugly, don't worry. Ethan Hunt's got you covered. So this is the Mission Impossible game for the PS1, developed by Example and published by Infogrames and released for the PS1 in 1998. Originally it came out on the Nintendo 64, developed by Infogrames Europe and published by Ocean Interactive. This game has a very well documented development history. It was envisioned as an extremely ambitious game for its time, looking to release a PC quality game in the Nintendo 64 when the console was announced. Mentioned console were things as advanced AI, dynamic disguise system, multiple playable characters, etc. The problem was the devs overestimated actual power of the Nintendo 64, so when they gave it a shot the game ran at 4 FPS. Infogrames acquired Ocean Interactive and the game was considered dead until Infogrames Lion restarted development. Obviously they had less development time and knowing the actual capabilities of the Nintendo 64 they had to downgrade the game. Even from what I read, development was still really challenging. A year or so later, the game was ported to PS1, which is the version I'm playing. Most notable additions in this version are voice acting and full motion video cutscenes, which the original didn't have. I actually had this game on my bucket list way before I knew these development hurdles, but it's quite an interesting read. Another difference is that the N64 version looks more sharper and environments are less of quality than the PS1 version. Backgrounds are more detailed and lightings and effects are enhanced. The soundtrack was recomposed and sounds better than the Nintendo 64 one, which has a MIDI soundtrack. Another addition is the inclusion of quick saves. The one thing that the N64 version does better are better textures and a mostly smoother frame rate. The FMVs and voice acting don't that much either. The FMVs themselves are really compressed and really unnecessary, not adding much to the content. And the voice acting goes from mediocre to really bad, especially Ethan's. He sounds like an off-brand Richard Hammond from Top Gear.
I knew he wasn't going to finish that sentence.
The other thing is that every time a voice line is played, the music stops and only resumes when it's done playing. It's a mild annoyance, but kind of jarring.
Darn. Next time I'll stay away from these explosions.
If I had to pick a version, I'd say the N64 version, simply because of the frame rate. The FMVs don't add much, and the voice acting is not really required. The game sort of follows the plot from the first Mission Impossible film, but pretty loosely. Some levels are from actual scenes from the movie, but most of them are not. The main plot beats are about the same, but the way we are led to all of them are vastly different from the way they happened in the movie. The devs had the right idea. The game cannot follow the movie beat by beat because it's mostly slow-paced and dialogue-centered, so if you want to make a game specifically about the first MI movie, you have to take some liberties. Some of the changes I generally find more interesting than the way that it's played out in the movie. I'm kind of impressed.
Do you have a way to check it here?
The game on paper is a stealth action game where you have to clear a list of objectives to finish the mission, sometimes trying to avoid detection, and other missions are more action focused. Most do entail acquiring using key items or gadgets to advance. The game is at its best when it does manage to accomplish this, exploring the area and finding how to start clearing these objectives. If I had to put some positives on the table, I think the game starts pretty good. The first level serves as a bit of a tutorial as you get used to the controls, the type of objectives you can find and how to clear them, etc. Then it follows them up with, for its time, a really good highlight for the game, the famous embassy level. It's the first part of the second mission is really the best mission in the game because you can do the objectives in any order you want. Like, you can explore around freely, you can talk to people, you can how to complete the objectives as you go around. Almost like a sandbox, it's like a product Hitman of some kind. I think it's the vision they had in mind when they made the game was that vision that would make this sandbox game where you can do the objectives in any order, disguise yourself, etc. In retrospective, it's alright for modern standards, especially with Hitman, but for its time, I think it was a really good stage.
with me. Do you want it
The
now?
embassy level is the best
Wait a
stage
sec.
in the game because
Let's
of
make
two
sure no one's
reasons.
looking at us.
First, because it showcases the game at its best, and the second reason is because it managed to replicate that same level of freedom or immersion that like the embassy stage. After the embassy stage, the game completely derails and you start to see the game's limitations. One of the main problems the game has is that it is extremely straightforward and linear, like most objectives have to be done in a specific order to accomplish them. When one attempts to try to do it in a different way or in a different order, in most cases you get a failed state and have to restart the mission or load a previous save. These linear missions are also action-oriented. Brings us to the main problem of the game is that most missions are action-oriented. Almost the entire game is action-oriented. You have to clear these objectives while taking down enemies. In many cases they spawn endlessly but you cannot kill them permanently. It's not like you can avoid them, like in many cases they know exactly where you are and are chasing you constantly, even if you're trying to hide. This couldn't be an issue if the shooting wasn't terrible. There's little to no figure when you shoot and land a hit on an enemy, and it's hard to tell when a hit is gonna land. The auto aim is also really inconsistent, and at close range it has a lot of trouble locking on an enemy. You also have a manual aim that's extremely clunky and imprecise, leaving you exposed when trying to hit an enemy. The N64 aiming is not really light and fast, so trying to get a precise shot on that is even more imprecise and frustrating. This is even worse and harder because auto aim is disabled and you have to aim manually most of the time. The game does have melee, but it's so badly designed that it's literally useless. If an enemy is shooting you, no matter how close you are, you cannot hit them. Melee only works when they also try to hit you. On top of that, the game gives you an extremely limited amount of ammo in some missions to where it reaches a point that when you run out there's nothing you can do. You get soft locked and have to reset. This is exacerbated by the aforementioned aiming. Sometimes I spend like half my ammo trying to shoot one enemy and sometimes you're not getting that shit back. When it tries to be a stealth game, it barely functions as one, mostly because as already said, 90% of it is a shooter, but when it isn't, the game is not really into the idea of you trying to hide. The camera is not really good at letting you see your surroundings, so enemies are hard to spot, which also are extremely stupid but unpredictable, sometimes shooting you when you are out of range. In other cases, you don't really have to stealth around because you are disguised. Which brings me into the gadgets. They are not gadgets, they're more like Resident Evil key items that you can only use in certain points. The most notable one is the Facemaker, which allows you to take the identity of someone else. That's a key item, you can only use it where the game lets you use it. I assume this is one of the most ambitious items when the game was in development. It will likely have functioned kind of like the disguise system in Hitman, which would have been extremely ambitious for this time and target console. Aside from the core gameplay, you have some sections that make you do something different. When I say some, I mean just like 3 of them.
I've lost
One that they had to do no matter what, since it is the most famous scene from the first movie. Kinda like it, it's really short, but I like that to dodge the lasers you had to do some strange weighty movements to avoid touching some of them. Luckily, they didn't make them entirely annoying. Another mission is a sniper segment where you have to protect Ethan from shooters or disguised as civilians, so sometimes it looks like someone is about to shoot him but it pulls out a fork or some other shit. It's kinda cool. And that's pretty much it about the game. There's not much else to say or not talk about a specific level. Overall, I had fun with the game, but it had the disadvantage of being extremely ambitious for its time. Maybe if it came out from like the PS2 for the Xbox, it may have been a much better game, or at least closer to its vision. So anyway, that's it. Goodbye.